Yes, students, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. See here now, processes are not ideal process in a actual cycle. So let it be now. We will see the diesel cycle afterwards. Okay, we will see the derivation. All of you take a pen and pencil. Sorry, pen and a book. So we can see the a small derivation related to the Otto cycle. Okay. Yes. So all of you see students here. This is your constant volume or Otto cycle. Okay. What we are assuming here. See, at point 1 cylinder is full of air at P1 T1 V1. Okay. The 1 to 2 process is adiabatic compression. Okay. Adiabatic compression. 2 to 3 process is constant volume heat addition process. Okay. So heat supplied will be Cv into T3 minus T2. Okay. It is at constant volume. Okay. Here the heat is supplied in process 2, 3. It is at constant volume. So that is why I am taking Cv here. What is Cv? Yes, anyone? What is Cv here?
Specific heat at constant
Specific heat
volume.
at constant volume. Okay. Specific heat at constant volume. Okay. What is the unit? What is the unit of specific heat? Yes, anyone?
Kilojoule per kg Kelvin.
Kilojoule per kg Kelvin.
Kilojoules per kg Kelvin. Okay. Kilojoules per kg Kelvin. Okay. So that is our Cv. Why we are taking Cv? What? Why not Cp? Because the processes are at constant volume. That is why we are taking Cv. Okay. So I have written here Cv kilojoules per kg Kelvin. Okay. So focus here now. The process 2, 3 constant volume heat addition. Therefore, the heat supplied Q is taken as Cv into T3 minus T2. See, I am one more thing I am assuming here is the mass. Okay, mass we are considering it as 1. Okay, the mass we are considering it as 1 kg. That is why I have not written M here. Okay, I have not written M. So if M is coming here, we can write, okay, we can write MCVDTO. Okay, the formula is MCVDT. So M here or M dot we are assuming it as 1. Okay, M we are assuming it as 1 because we are assuming 1 kg of air for the whole process. Okay, so that is why M is coming as 1. So see here now 3 to 4 it is adiabatic expansion and 4 to 1 is constant volume heat rejection. Constant volume heat rejection, again this is heat rejection Q is equal to Cv T4 minus T1 because the process is T4, okay, T4 to T1. So in T4 to T1 we are assuming the whole heat is rejected. Okay. So see now what will be the work done? What will be the work done? Okay, heat supplied minus heat rejected. Heat supplied minus heat rejected. So whatever heat is supplied, okay, minus the heat rejected, I will get the work done. Can you all solve this? Can you all take a book and pen and try to solve this? Yes, students. I told you to take a book and pen and then sit. Can you? I will ask you questions. You will have to answer. So I hope you all are writing. See, efficiency. Efficiency is work done upon heat supply. All of you know this is the efficiency. So we are going to find out the efficiency of the air standard cycle here. So what I am taking, this work done I am taking in the numerator and the heat supplied, okay, the heat supplied I am taking in the denominator here. Okay, the heat supplied I am taking in the denominator. work done I am taking in the numerator, shown here. Okay, so what will happen here? See, as I move to solve it, I am getting eta auto. Okay, eta auto means efficiency of the Otto cycle here is 1 minus T4 minus T1 upon T3 minus T2. How it is coming? See, this CV and this CV is getting cut. Okay, then I am dividing the numerator. I am taking T3 minus T2 the whole upon T3 minus T2 here. Then again T3 minus T2 upon T3 minus T2 I will get 1. Okay, then again T4 minus T1 upon T3 minus T2 I am taking it differently. Okay, so I am getting minus T4 minus T1 upon T3 minus T2. Hope you are getting this, students. Yes, all of you are awake in the lecture.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
You are not
Sir.
sleeping. Yes. Okay. Okay. Very good. So all of you are solving or just listening?
Solving.
Really?
Solving.
Okay. So I will open the camera and tell you to all of you to show your books. Okay. Yes. Let it be now. We will focus here. See. What is there now? The efficiency we have got as 1 minus T4 minus T1 upon T3 minus T2. So see, compression ratio, okay, R, compression ratio R, it is taken as V1 upon V2, which is equal to V4 upon V3. Okay, V1 upon V2 upon V is equal to V4 upon V3. Okay, see how this is happening. All of you focus here. R is equal to V1 upon V2 is equal to V4 upon V3. You should focus on the PV diagram. Okay, just focus on the PV diagram. I have shown you the PV diagram. Just a second. See here, the PV diagram, it is showing the compression, and see from here 0 to 1. Okay, from this point to this point, what is happening? The volume is changing. Again, from this point to this point, only the volume is changing. Okay, so again see from 3 to 4. Okay, from 3 to 4 the volume is changing. So V4, the volume at 4 and the volume at 1. Okay, the volume at 4 and the volume at 1, it is same. All of you agree with me? Volume at 4, at the point 4 in a air standard cycle, and the volume at 1, is it same, students?
Yes, it's same.
Yes, sir.
And what about pressure? Pressure, is it same? Pressure is same?
Pressure is
No,
different.
No.
Pressure is different. Okay, good. So the pressure is different, but the volume is same. Again, at the point 2 and 3, the volume is same. Pressure is different. What is the volume here at the point 2 and at the point 3? The volume is
Volume is same.
same. Okay, volume is VC. Volume is VC, that is the clearance volume. Okay, it is the clearance volume. Okay, so that is why what I am doing here in this stage, okay, in this stage I am taking the compression ratio as V1 upon V2. I am compressing the mixture from point V1 till the point 2. That is why R I am taking as V1 upon V2. Hope you are getting this, students. Okay, I am compressing the air from point 1 to 2. Okay, from point 1 to 2 I am compressing the air. Therefore, the compression ratio becomes V1 upon V2, and as V1 is equal to V4, V1 is equal to V4 here and V2 is equal to V3. Just a second. We will see here in the diagram. See, V1 is equal to V4 and V2 is equal to V3. They are both equal. So therefore, I am trying to make the same ratio available here so that it will be used ahead. Okay. So this is the compression ratio. Okay. This is the compression ratio. Now for adiabatic cycle, okay, as it is a reversible adiabatic, it is also a isentropic process. PVT relations are given by P1 V1 raised to gamma is equal to P2 V2 raised to gamma. All of you know this. You have studied this in thermodynamics. Okay, P1 V1 raised to gamma is equal to P2 V2 raised to gamma. For which process? Only for the adiabatic process. Okay, the process 1, 2 and the process 3, 4. Okay, these are the adiabatic process that is compression and the process of your expansion. Okay, the process of compression and process of expansion, they are adiabatic process. So I can take it as P1 V1 raised to gamma is equal to P2 V2 raised to gamma. Okay, again see T2 upon T1 is equal to V1 upon V2 raised to gamma minus 1. This is also just a formula of thermodynamics. All of you remember it. Okay, for adiabatic process I can take this formula as it is the adiabatic process, and T2 upon T1 is also equal to P2 upon P1 raised to gamma minus 1 upon gamma. So I will not explain it to you now. You just have to remember these formulas. Okay, it is studied by us in the thermodynamics. Okay, now see, I am using it to solve the derivation now. Okay, see, T2 upon T1 is equal to V1 upon V2 raised to gamma minus 1. Okay, see, from here I am taking the formula. Okay, T2 upon T1 is equal to V1 upon V2 raised to gamma minus 1. So I am taking it here. Okay, now what I am doing, V1 upon V2. Okay, all of you know V1 upon V2 is equal to R. Okay, so I am taking V1 upon V2 is equal to R. See, we have taken from here. Okay, we have assumed R, that is the compression ratio. Compression ratio is V1 upon V2. So that is why I am taking it. Okay, I am substituting V1 upon V2 is equal to R. So I am getting T2 upon T1 is equal to R raised to gamma minus 1. Okay, R raised to gamma minus 1. What is gamma here, students? What is gamma? You remember your thermodynamics. It is 1.4. 1.4 because it is a adiabatic process. Okay, because it is a adiabatic process, reversible adiabatic process, it is 1.4, not 1.14. Okay, it is 1.4. So I am getting T2 upon T1 is equal to R raised to gamma minus 1. From that I am getting T2. Okay, T2 is equal to T1 into R raised to gamma minus 1. Then again T3 upon T4. Okay, for the process 3, 4 I am taking T3 upon T4 is also equal to R raised to gamma minus 1. That is V4 upon V3. V4 upon V3 is also R. So T3 I am getting as T3 is equal to T4 into R raised to gamma minus 1. Okay, I am just taken T4 and I have multiplied it here. Okay, from denominator it is coming and multiplying here. Okay, so see here now, all of you, what is happening? Efficiency of the Otto cycle. Okay, efficiency of the Otto cycle, I am solving it here. It is coming like this. Efficiency of the Otto cycle is 1 minus T4 minus T1 upon T4 is T4 into R raised to gamma minus 1 minus T1 into R raised to gamma minus 1. Okay, from where it is coming? See, all of you, we have solved it, the derivation till here. Okay, we have solved the derivations till here. So from here only I am taking the value. Eta Otto is equal to 1 minus T4 minus T1 upon T3 minus T2. So I am substituting the values now. Okay, I am substituting the values here. Okay, so I have substituted the values of T2, okay, and T3. Okay, T2 and T3 I am substituting here. So I am getting T2 is equal to T1 into R raised to gamma minus 1 and T3 is equal to T4 into R raised to gamma minus 1. Okay, so now I am solving it. I am taking T4 R raised to gamma minus 1 as common. Okay, in the denominator, all of you can solve it also. In the denominator, R raised to gamma minus 1 is common. I am taking it outside. In the bracket, I will get T4 minus T1. Okay, that T4 minus T1 will get cut from the numerator. Okay, what you will get? You will get this. All of you agree with me, students? All of you are getting this?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So our eta of the Otto cycle, okay, efficiency of the Otto cycle, we are getting in terms of the compression ratio. Okay, that is 1 minus 1 upon R raised to gamma minus 1. Okay, all of you have understood this. See, because it is a theoretical cycle here, we are getting the efficiency in terms of just the compression ratio. So we are telling it is depending only on the compression ratio and nothing else. More the compression ratio, more is the efficiency. Yes. Yes, mute all of you students. All of you mute yourself. Yes. Now tell me, what is the compression ratio, students? What is the compression ratio? The amount by which we are compressing the air fuel mixture, okay, or the air in a air standard cycle. So why we are not increasing it to a very great extent? Okay, why to increase the efficiency we are not increasing the compression ratio very much? Yes, can anyone tell me? If we increase the compression ratio, why we are not taking more? Okay, why we are not taking the compression ratio as more? Why we are limiting it? Okay, in this process, see, why we are limiting it? See, yesterday also I told you for the compression ratio, about what is the compression ratio kept for a SI engine, what is the compression ratio kept for a CI engine, what is the compression ratio for a SI engine? Yes, anyone? Generally, what it is kept? See, you all are not noting the points which I am telling you. Yesterday only I told you all what is the compression ratio generally kept for the SI engine. Yes, Abdul Rahim Garade, he's telling 10:1. Yes, Khan Yasir, 12:1:24:1. This is for Khan Yasir. This is for SI or CI? It is for SI or CI? CI, yes, very good. Okay, 12:1:24:1 is the compression ratio for CI engine, and for SI engine it is 7:9. Okay, so why it is kept like that? Why we are not increasing? Because here we are getting efficiency more if we keep the compression ratio more. Yes, anyone? See, I will tell you, this is just a air standard cycle wherein we have taken lot of assumptions, and then we are getting that the efficiency is depending just on the compression ratio. Okay, but in actual practice, what is happening there, the efficiency is depending on many other factors. Okay, and therefore we have to take into consideration all the other factors also. Okay, this is one point. And another thing, to keep the compression ratio high, it is not possible practically. Okay, to keep this compression ratio high, it is not practical, it is not possible practically. Because of the practical limitations only, we are reducing the compression ratio. Okay, we cannot compress the air fuel mixture beyond a certain point. Okay, we cannot keep the length of the stroke length, that is the piston travel, how much it will travel. Okay, if we increase that, will we increase the compression ratio, students? Yes, students, you have to answer me. See, if I increase the stroke length, okay, what will happen? If I increase the stroke length, my volume will increase. I can take in more amount of air fuel mixture, isn't it? If I am taking this point 1, okay, I'm taking this point 1 beyond, okay, I'm increasing the volume here. So it means if I have to increase the volume, I have to increase the stroke length. Yes, students, do you all agree with me? I have to increase the piston travel, na? Then only it will allow the more air fuel mixture to come inside. Na? Yes, you are not getting this, students. Okay, so therefore, it is not practically possible to go on increasing the length also. Okay, so that is why we are limiting it. We just want the air fuel mixture to get compressed so that it can easily burn. Okay, that is our requirement. And again, in the expansion stroke also, it should not expand very much. Okay, so it is it will be very difficult for it to come back. So there are some limitations. That is why we are not keeping the compression ratio high. Okay, because of the practical limitations, only it is kept from 7 to 9. Okay, so this derivation we have done. Now we will see a small problem. Okay, we will try to do solve a small sum based on this. So all of you take your book and pen and try to solve a problem. Okay, I will give you the problem. Yes, all of you take it down. The efficiency of an Otto cycle is 60%. What is the compression ratio? You have to find out the efficiency of an Otto cycle is 60%. What will be the compression ratio? You just have to use the formula and find it out. Yes, all of you are listening to me. You can unmute yourself and tell me the answer. Okay, the efficiency of an Otto cycle is 60%. What is the compression ratio? I want answers from all of you in the chat box. Just a very small problem. Okay, yes, what is the answer, students? I am waiting for you. The efficiency of an Otto cycle is 60%. What is the compression ratio? What will be the compression ratio? Yes, one student has got the answer as 9.88. Is it right? Yes, anyone else? What will be the compression ratio? You just have to use the formula of efficiency. Okay, you just have to use the formula of efficiency and solve the problem. Okay, here is the formula of efficiency. You just have to put here the value of efficiency as 0.6. Okay, then you will get the value of compression ratio. Gamma is 1.4. This is 1.4. Okay, you will get some value, and then that you have to tell me what is the value of the compression ratio. Yes, one student has got 1.58, one has got 6.25, one has got 9.88. Okay, the right answer is 6.25. All of you just correct yourself. Try to find out the right answer. See, as gamma is not given, all of you note it down. As gamma is not given, you can take it as 1.4. Okay, if you are taking it as 1.4, the answer can be different. Some of you might be getting uh, this 9.88. Okay, it can also be right. Okay, if you take it as 1.4. Okay, so 9.88 will also be right if you take the value as 1.4. Okay, so if you are taking gamma as 1.5, then your answer will be 6.25. That is also right. Okay, so as the gamma value of gamma is not given, okay, so you can take it as 1.4 also, and if it is given in the question as 1.5, then you can take it as 1.5. You will get the answer as 6.25. Okay, students. So 9.88 is also right if you take the answer as 1.5. Okay, sorry, as 1.4. If you are taking it as 1.4, I think you will get 9.88. Okay, yes, good. Yes, let everybody get the answer. See, this is how you are solving it. This is how you are solving it. Okay, I am taking the value of gamma here as 1.5. So I am getting a different answer as 6.25. If you are taking as 1.4, you will get a different answer. Okay, so yes, I will explain you. So there are some doubts. Partial vacuum in suction, some are not getting. Yes, that is a doubt with some students. Okay, below atmospheric pressure. Why it is like that? I will explain it to you. See, just a second. See here, some students are having doubt about partial vacuum. Okay, So I will try to explain it to you. There are some students who are asking about the partial vacuum, about atmospheric pressure and below atmospheric pressure. See, I will try to explain it to you with this animation. See what is happening here. All of you just focus here. I will tell you about what is the partial expansion or partial vacuum. Okay. See, what is the intake stroke? All of you know. See, what is happening here? The air fuel mixture is coming. Okay, the air fuel mixture is coming inside. Okay, why the air fuel mixture is able to come inside here? From the inlet valve. I've explained it to you earlier also. Yes, anyone can tell me why it is able to come inside? There is no such force, or just because in the downward direction, because of the downward direction it is coming inside. Yes, anyone? See, I am allowing you to unmute also. Yes, students, why the air fuel mixture is coming inside? There is a doubt. Because of pressure difference. Yes, because of vacuum pressure. Very good. Yes, see, because of the piston which is moving here from top to bottom. Okay, first, see, in the last stroke of the previous cycle, the exhaust gases are expelled. So there is very less amount of any gas available here. So when the piston is moving down, okay, it is doing some work. Okay, doing some work. The crankshaft is doing some work on this piston to pull down. Okay, so when it is pulling down, what is happening? There is a partial vacuum created inside the combustion chamber. Okay, there is a pressure which is below the atmospheric pressure. Here the pressure, okay, the air fuel mixture which is coming from the carburetor, here the pressure is atmospheric pressure. Okay, the atmospheric pressure is in this line. Okay, so for this air fuel mixture to come inside the combustion chamber, okay, there should be some pressure difference, then only anything can come inside. Okay, all of you know, if the pressure will be more here and then I keep this valve open, will this air fuel mixture will it be able to come inside? No. Okay, instead, if the pressure is more, the exhaust gases will move from here in this direction, in backward direction. So to keep the air fuel mixture coming inside, okay, so I want the pressure inside this combustion chamber to be less so that anything can come inside. We require a pressure difference. Okay, we require less pressure here. There should be no more pressure here. Okay, as compared to the atmospheric pressure. Okay, so the air fuel mixture can come inside from here because it is having less pressure. It is not having any push force here. Okay, it is instead it is having a pull force. The air fuel mixture is sucked inside the combustion chamber because of the vacuum created. To be clear. Okay, so therefore the pressure inside the combustion chamber should be less for the air fuel mixture. Therefore it is created in such a way that when the piston is moving down, because of the pressure partial vacuum which is created, the air fuel mixture is sucked inside the combustion chamber. Okay, therefore the pressure should be less here. Okay, then see when in the exhaust stroke, what should happen in the exhaust stroke? When this valve is opening, okay, this valve is opening in the exhaust stroke. All of you know this. So what should happen? That when we have to expel something outside, okay, we have to expel something outside after the exhaust stroke. See, combustion has happened. Now these high pressure gases here inside the combustion chamber, it should move outside. Okay, but if what will happen if I keep the pressure here very more than the pressure inside the combustion chamber, these gases will not be allowed to move outside then. So what is happening here? Because the pressure here is more and the pressure here in this exhaust gas line is less. Okay, it is less pressure here. It is atmospheric pressure. It is open to atmosphere here. The exhaust gas pipeline is open to atmosphere. That is why that there is atmospheric pressure somewhat here. So these high pressure gases, it can move outside. So therefore the pressure inside the combustion chamber is above the atmospheric pressure. That is why only the gases can move outside. Hope you are getting this, students. Okay. The exhaust stroke, it is open, though this valve is open, still the pressure inside this combustion chamber, it is little above the atmospheric pressure. See, again the meeting is about to end. We'll start it. Okay, and we will solve just one sum. Okay, we'll just solve one sum and we will end the lecture. Okay, we'll end the lecture. We'll just solve one small sum. See, all of you write the question. It is given an engine is having 250 mm bore. 250 mm bore. So what is a bore, students? What is a bore? B-O-R-E, bore. What is the bore? I have told you, I have explained it to you earlier. What is a bore? Yes, students, what is a bore? Bore is the cylinder diameter or the piston diameter. Okay, bore is cylinder diameter or piston diameter. We are taking it as one and the same. Okay, so it is given as 250 mm and stroke is 375 mm. Working on Otto cycle. Stroke is 375 mm. It is working on Otto cycle.